Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASX Investor channel. Tesla. Once again, another quarter that TSLA has smashed it out of the park. Tesla have just provided their Q3 deliveries update, and as you can see here, they delivered over 240,000 electric vehicles during the third quarter of 2021, absolutely smashing consensus expectations, which was around the 220,000 mark. Tesla is often a polarizing stock, with many thinking that it's overvalued, while others think it's one of the greatest opportunities with a great runway ahead of it. It's a fascinating company. In today's video, we'll unpack the recent delivery numbers. We'll talk about why these numbers in particular were so significant with the backdrop of the semiconductor shortage and of course supply chain disruptions around the world. And then we'll talk about the future for TSLA and what it might look like moving forward. If you do enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Feel free to share it out as well. We make daily videos, so if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you've subscribed and turn your bell notifications on as well. Before we dive in, a reminder that I'm not a financial advisor. These videos are just a general discussion to be that starting spot for you to do your own research from. So where do we begin with Tesla's numbers? 240,000 EVs delivered in the quarter. It was a stellar rate. When you look at some of the comparable numbers over the past periods, 20% up quarter on quarter and over 70% up year on year. Now that Tesla has started to reach some scale, the year on year numbers really do start to make quite an impact. There are a lot of questions about how will Tesla be able to grow as they scale, as they mature, and as the market matures as well, with more competitors entering the electric vehicle sector. So far, TSLA has had all the answers. Elon Musk has continued to deliver, and it's going to be fascinating to see where the growth story heads from here. We'd love to know your thoughts too, so drop in a comment below what you think about Tesla's recent numbers and where you think TSLA head from here moving forward. A few of the other takeaways as well from some of the commentary surrounding Tesla's recent delivery numbers. As you can see, during the third quarter of 2021, Tesla actually began to ship some lithium iron phosphate batteries as well. We know Tesla's focusing on LFP. There's been a lot of discussions around some of the incumbent battery compositions. We know that there's concerns around safety, and of course, a lot of them are flammable as well. So they began to ship some LFP batteries, and we'll see this start to pick up in coming quarters too. On top of that as well, we know that there were some halts due to the semiconductor shortage. We'll talk about how that's affected the broader electric vehicle and the auto industry as well. But despite these difficulties, despite the headwinds, despite the sector having a real hard go of it over the past period and some of these leading automakers really struggling, Tesla delivered record numbers and they're now looking forward to Q4 as well. We know there's been that mythical 1 million delivery mark. There's been questions about when they'll make it. Of course, it looks like 2021 calendar year may just be one quarter too early, but it does look like over the next period of time, Tesla will be achieving that 1 million deliveries. And it's a phenomenal period of growth for here, but it does look like Tesla's only just in the early stages of this growth journey with a huge tailwinds behind it moving forward. Interestingly, Tesla did pull out and discuss the global supply chain and logistics challenges. We know other companies around the world, such as Nike and FedEx, have recently discussed them as well with their Q3 earnings. It's a significant factor here. Of course, it could contribute to rising inflation as we've seen over this past period. We've seen Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, also discuss this supply chain shortages and disruptions. It'll be interesting to see as the vaccination rates continue to pick up pace, as the economic recovery picks up pace, and as the borders start to open up, if there is some changes in this sector or whether there's going to be more ongoing effects moving forward. And so having a look at the current state of play, if we take a step back, it really does help to contextualize these stellar results from TSLA. We know there's a semiconductor chip shortage and supply chain disruptions that are really affecting car and automakers around the world. We know the chip shortage in particular has been called out by many of the leading automakers as a real headwind for them to contend with. Auto industry sales are struggling, and General Motors recently provided their numbers for Q3 and there was a 33% reduction. So it's not as if Tesla has got the wind behind their backs during this period. They've delivered 20% quarter on quarter despite all of the difficulties. However, we do know that there's a range of different longer term tailwinds starting to play out on a more structural level. EV adoption is picking up pace and rapidly. We know there's been accommodative support from governments with incentives and subsidies, as well as investments into infrastructure. We know that eventually this inflection point is going to be hit, and it looks like we're reaching it, where there's significant amount of infrastructure, charging stations, and everything else has been developed enough that we'll start to see EV purchases really start to rapidly pick up as people want to get onto the trend. This, of course, is also going to be coupled with the reduction down the cost curve over time, which we're seeing as technologies continue to improve in their ability to process and deliver results. As we do know, President Joe Biden recently set a voluntary target for half of new vehicle sales in the US by 2030 to be electric models. This, of course, includes a broad range of these vehicles, from battery electrics, plug-in hybrids, and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, but it's definitely an indication about where the future's heading. We know that the US market actually does lag in comparison to China and Europe for EV adoption, so it'll be interesting to see if this type of support, as well as further subsidies and support as well, can really help to catalyse US adoption of electric vehicles. Finally as well, we do know that competitors are rapidly entering the space. From Volvo to GM to Mercedes, we've heard each of them really provide insights about new vehicle ranges, but also focuses of production for them moving forward. Tesla, as the incumbent in the space, as the leading electric vehicle name, so far has been able to contend with this competition. And interestingly as well, despite all of the competition, Tesla's maintained its competitive advantage. We know that it maintains control of its supply chains, which allows them to control costs. And it also means that they're really able to leverage and develop out their capabilities in-house, which means they can retain their top-of-class status. And so then, of course, the question is what to look out for with Tesla. NASDAQ TSLA has had a phenomenal past few years on the market. It's been one of the top gainers in terms of share price, but of course we know that share price does not always equal company progression. Most significantly, they've continued to deliver where it matters in terms of deliveries, and as they continue to now start to be cash flow positive moving forward. We've talked about the 1 million car milestone. It does look like it's just ahead on the horizon. We know that they're continuing to improve margins over time. They've got a nice healthy margin above the 20% mark, which is very healthy for automakers, but they are looking towards the potential of getting towards that margin up to around that 30% mark, which would be a stellar number. Of course, we know their ability to expand into verticals. They have their energy storage systems, the Powerwall continues to grow in importance, as well as, of course, their solar side. It's going to be interesting to see as they double down on this investment moving forward. And then, of course, we've heard about the potential other moonshot types of verticals that they could expand into, whether it's the robo-taxis, whether it's Tesla insurance. We know that Elon Musk is innovative. We know that he's willing to really shoot for the stars, quite literally, as well with SpaceX. So it'll be interesting to see how Elon Musk is able to harness his innovative tendencies to continue to scale Tesla into one of the leading companies, not just an automaker, but one of the leading companies around the world. We know that Tesla have got some upcoming gigafactories as well coming online. They'll be able to continue to expand and really utilize their maximum capacity in Fremont and Shanghai. But of course, further to that as well, Giga Berlin as well as Giga Texas will also eventually come online. It's pretty phenomenal to think there's already been around 1 million cars delivered without both of these factories coming online. And as we're just starting to see the hockey sticking picking up of EV adoption. And then finally, I think a really fascinating one is this $25,000 consumer car. As the costs start to reduce over time and as their battery manufacturing capabilities improve, we know that Elon Musk last year stated that he was looking at bringing out a $25,000 car at some point. 2023 has been discussed as a potential date. We'll see if and when that is announced and it comes to market. But of course, this is only going to help with the proliferation and true rollout of Tesla. We know that Tesla is becoming synonymous with the electric vehicle transition. We know how that happened with Apple and the iPhones and the smartphones. We know that when people think about EVs, they instantly think of Tesla. This is a real prized position, and it's likely to continue to grow and expand moving forward as the excitement surrounding Teslas pick up pace. I'm sure many of you will know someone who owns a Tesla, or at least who's test-driven one before. As people start to get immersed in the Tesla ecosystem, they talk to their friends about it, and this only further drives and amplifies excitement for the TSLA story. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Feel free to share it out as well. We make daily videos on the channel, so welcome. If you're new here, make sure you've subscribed, turn your bell notifications on. This past period, we've interviewed a range of different CEOs on the channel as well, so we'll leave links to those up above that you can check out after this one. We'd love to know your thoughts on it. Tesla continues to go from strength to strength, so we'll see where they go in Q4 for 2021, but also moving forward year to year. The question has always been, can they continue at their phenomenal growth rates? Can they continue at 50+% year-on-year growth? So far, potentially, even though the numbers have continued to grow over time, 73% year-on-year, including this quarter now. We'll see what happens in 2022, 2023, and then as the market continues to mature. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the video. For now, stay well and happy investing.